Hi everybody, I am a material scientist and I have done bachelor's from Pakistan, my master's from Germany, while my PhD from Italy, and all of my education is basically in the field of material science and technology. I am really a passionate person about materials due to my background, and I realized that most of people in the world, especially in Asian countries like Pakistan, they don't have that so much awareness and they don't know the importance and scope of this field. This is such an amazing field. That's why I'm here to share my ideas with you and to introduce you with this amazing field from basics, from application point of view and its scope. So let's start talking about it. In today's video, I will just talk about the basics of this field, that is mean for those who don't have any sort of background in this field and just want to know how this field works, and then I will go into details in the future about different sort of materials and their applications and their scope. So first of all, whenever a person thinks of this field, first question arises in the mind that why we should go for this field. What is the importance? So first of all, everyone should notice that every human being, irrespective of their age or their profession, everybody use variety of materials in their daily life. Whatever we use in our daily life is made up of some sort of materials. For instance, you have seen a plenty of materials and everyone is using these materials into their daily life. So it is important that the humans, as they have developed these materials in order to improve the quality of their life, so it is important to study these materials so that we can improve the quality of these materials, that in return will further improve the quality of our lives. And that's where the role of material scientists come into play. So basically, if we say that about the materials, in the introduction of material engineering, we can see that the material engineering is an interdisciplinary field that I have just told you, that deals with a variety of different materials from various sort of applications, and we will go into details which sort of materials we have, and then their subfields and their various applications where we can use these materials. So being a material scientist, what you study is the relationship between processing of materials, their structure, their properties and their performance. So being a material scientist, you have, for instance, have to study the material structure, and for all of these sort of things you have to characterize these things at each and every step, and you use variety of different tools in order to characterize the materials at every step. For instance, you are using some microscopes, or highly developed microscopes that can give you the information even at atomic level about the structure of the material, how the material has been at atomic level in terms of their arrangement of atoms and the bonding. And then on the basis of these you get the information about the properties, because the basic material structure defines the property of each and every material. And then on the basis of these properties, you can understand how the material will behave in long term and under certain conditions. So basically, the material scientist can study a relationship between a structure, properties and performance of different sort of materials by characterizing them at each and every step. Here is the brief overview of different sort of applications of this field, and I personally feel, being a material scientist, that this is probably one of the most diversified field in the world, having applications in each and every sector of life, such as in the automotive industry, in the aerospace industry, energy sector, biomedical applications, in defense, and now in the last few years or decades, the trend has been shifted towards smart materials, nanomaterials, that has shown to be a very promising properties, and they are going to bring more revolution in this field. You are using these different sort of materials in the different sort of applications that you can see over here. This is just a small overview. The materials has much more diversified applications, and we will go into detail in our next lectures or next videos. So basically, different sort of materials. What are the different classes of materials? How can we classify them? Well, we can classify them according to different bases. For example, depending upon the working condition of each of materials, upon the basis of their applications, their processing. So there are different classes that can be used. But here I will just talk the basic types of material. So how can we divide them? And I have listed here like metals, ceramics, polymers, and composites. So these are 4 different sort of materials, and these materials are basically, all of them are in the solid form. In the material engineering, we deals basically with the solid materials. Now these materials have different sort of processing. They have different sort of properties and applications, different working conditions. So being a material scientist, the purpose is the selection of materials depending upon their end application and their working condition. Here is the main role of material scientists come into the play. So we have to decide that which material we have to use for a particular application. Now I will go just a very briefly the details of all these 4 type of materials, and then in the next lectures I will show you the details in terms of their processing, how they process, upon their applications, advantages, their limitations, and how the trend is going to be changed in future, where we are going ahead, where the world is going to head. And we will discuss definitely all the different sort of examples in detail, and I will give you all the information about their, from starting from their structure up to their end application, and also about their future. So let's talk briefly about metals. Metals are one of the most ancient materials that has been known to a human being. Their history goes back to 6000 BC. And what metals are basically? So metals are basically ductile materials. They are conductor of heat and electricity. They give a shiny appearance. And they are, you can see in the picture that they are using in various sort of applications, like in the automotive industry, the whole automotive body is made of metals. They are using in daily products, like you have seen a lot of things made up of metals. And typically metals that are used in our daily life can be gold, copper, silver, iron, and plenty of more that we will show details further on. Now, some of you that are very new to this field, or who are just at the school or college level, may not understand each and everything. For example, what a ductility is, what is meant by heat and electricity conductive materials. So definitely I will tell you each and everything in detail as well in the future videos. So coming to the second type of material, that are ceramics. So as we have seen that ceramics are basically hard and rigid materials. They are electrically insulators. So insulators means they cannot conduct heat or electricity. They are brittle, non-ductile. So just give you a very brief idea what ductile is. Ductile means that the material that can be easily molded or changed into the different shapes. However, the brittle means that they become, when you try to change their shape, they become fractured, and it's not possible or easy to change their shape. These materials, ceramic materials, are considered to be quite ideal materials for high temperature applications because of their high thermal and chemical stability at high temperature. For instance, they can be easily used at a temperature more than 1000 degrees Celsius or even 1500 degrees Celsius. There are a variety of different types that you have to give into the look that what you want to use for a certain applications. These materials are basically composed of oxides and carbonates of like you have seen that I have given an example of calcium carbonate, zirconium oxide, there yttrium oxide, aluminum oxide, and still there are a variety of materials. As far as the examples are concerned, in our daily life we have seen cements, glasses, clays, and much more. They are all come under the category of ceramics. And even in the human body we can see that our teeth are made up of ceramic materials, and now we are going into when you go into the field of biomaterials, the ceramics play a very important role nowadays. Other than that, you have seen that the clay stuff that we are using in our daily life, glasses, all come under the category of ceramic field, and this is quite huge field and industry that's growing all over the world. The third type of materials are called polymers. Polymers are also electrically insulators. They can't conduct electricity. They have relatively low strength and high chemical resistance. They are basically a lightweight materials as compared with the metals or ceramic. They have low density. And the typical examples include like plastic materials and rubber materials that we are using. For example, the tires that we are using in the automotive industry or any sort of other industry, the helmets or the different sort of bottles are made up of polymer materials. So these are the particular examples, and there are much more, of course. And the fourth and the last category of the material is called composite materials. The composite materials are not basically, they are basically formed by the combination of 2 or 3 materials. For example, metals have certain limitation in their, for certain application. Polymers have certain limitation. For example, polymers have low strength and ceramics have high strength, but ceramics are very brittle. So when you want to improve the quality of a different material, you mix two or even 3 or 4 types of materials, and then you make composite. So composite is basically just a combination of 2 or more types of products or materials basically. So for example, you combine metal and ceramics to form a metal ceramic composites. You combine metals and polymers to form a metal polymer composites. And it's very useful because you can use different ratios of different materials in order to tune the properties of these materials. The composites have gained a highly massive importance in the recent era, and the world is going to shift. Like you have seen that they're now using in the automotive industry, in the aerospace industry, everywhere, and they are replacing their traditional old materials which are being used since last years and centuries. So composites have gained a special attention recently in last few decades, and the world is going to shift from traditional materials to the composites. So that was just a brief introduction of what materials are, what materials field is, and what a material scientist is supposed to do. And very shortly I have discussed different sort of materials, and definitely I will give a very detailed overview of the scope in the future about the scope of material science field, where the world is going to be in the next years, what are the fields within the material science which are quite important, and then I will also definitely discuss all the details that I have not discussed here, starting from the structure of materials, how to characterize them, variety of characterization tools, and all this. So if you have any sort of question, I would like that you will comment below, and I will love to answer all of these questions. Thank you very much.